Hi everybody, Joel Palmer here at Vintage Fitness Studio, Vermont. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about scoliosis. So scoliosis is a curvature of the spine, and just to kind of demonstrate what that's what that actually kind of means, we've got two shapes here for you. My PVC pole, right, nice and straight. My back knobber tool, S-shaped. In a normal, healthy human spine, when we look at somebody from their back, so if they were to turn their back to us and we look at them, this is what the spine should look like. Basically a nice straight line, a pole. In scoliosis, this is what it kind of resembles. An S shape to the normal alignment. So instead of straight, we're S shape. So there's your scoliosis right there. So just so you get a visual of that. There's a couple things that happen with scoliosis, and typically there are two curves, a major and a minor, a primary and a secondary curve. The most common ones are thoracolumbar, engaging the thoracic spine, which is the mid-back area, and the lumbar spine being the lower back. And again, we get this sort of S-shaped curve. The other thing that occurs with this is the curvatures. The spine can't curve without a little bit of compensatory rotation involved in it. So what you get is not only this S-shaped sort of curve, but as the vertebrae curve, they also rotate in certain directions. So when we assess a patient, a lot of times they have what's called a rib hump. And the way we assess a patient is we do sort of an Adams test where we have them stand, we stand behind them and look at their spine. No shirt, we gotta get a good look at it. And what we have them do is we ask the patient to bend over and touch their toes. As they bend forward, the S shape becomes very prominent, and what we will see is on one side of the spine or the other is that the rib heads are rotating up and pushing up. So it looks like they have a hump on one side of the curve. That's because as the spine curves, say, to the left, it rotates and pushes the ribs up high on the right, so we see that. So when we're working on trying to correct the scoliosis, we have to try to address the imbalances. Because you have this S-shaped sort of curve, I'll just show you with my back knobber again, okay? So if I'm standing behind them and this is how they curve, so they are what's called concave on the right in the thoracic area, we're probably going to see the rib hump on the left. So we've got musculature here that's being overly drawn, pulled on excessively, and musculature on the inside of the curve that is too short. It's being shortened, contractures. So in order to balance this out, it's like sort of taking a bend out of a metal bar, right? We want to try to drive this curve back the other way, open up the concavity, the concave part of the curve, and normalize the convexity, this side of the curve. So when we're working on a patient or a client and they have something like this is what we're trying to address. Now keep in mind, most curves are double, so we'll have sort of the opposite in the lumbar. So the concavity will be to the left here, and the convexity to the right, so we've got to address that issue as well. What I like to do is sort of hit the whole region with some healthy activities to try and address this. A lot of this is imbalances, a lot of it is muscular weakness patterns and contracture patterns that we can affect if we catch this thing early enough. So what we try to do is keep it simple, simple tools, short and sweet. Especially with young people, most of them, it's hard to get them to work out for a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. So we try to keep it simple, 10, 15 minutes, move on. If I can do that, then a lot of times I can get them to cooperate and comply and do this stuff on a daily basis, which is going to be necessary for a long time. So let's take our patient. I'm examining my patient. I'm standing behind them. Their spine looks like this. I want to work on that thoracic convexity. Okay, so if the rib hump is on the right hand side and the spine bows so that it sticks out more on the right-hand side. Okay, that's the side I'm going to work on. So this is what I'm working on. So I'm going to show you a simple thing you can do with the ball. I like to do two things with the ball. One is just a passive stretch. So if my convexity is on my right side, I will lay on the ball and just have the patient drape themselves over the ball. I like to take that top arm and just reach over. Now ideally, you've got to do this for a little period, so it's good to do 2 minutes. I find most people have a hard time doing 2 straight minutes without a break. So a lot of times I'll set my timer on my phone or my watch and go 30-second intervals, do 30 seconds, just draping over the ball, letting gravity do a lot of the work. And then when it beeps, I'll roll out of it, take about 10 seconds or so, 15 maybe, then go back and do 4 sets. So that's a total of 2 minutes of time, okay? So remember that the spine is bent this way, right? So my convexity is pushing into the ball. So I'm trying to straighten that out. So what we want to do is strengthen the muscles on that side. So I need to strengthen those lateral support muscles on that side. So the next thing I like to do is lay on the ball the opposite way. And now we do some strengthening. And we'll do the same kind of thing. We drape over. I have a nice wide base here just for balance. I drape over and then laterally flex. Laterally flex. So I'm trying to strengthen the muscles on that convex part of the curve. While I'm doing this, the muscles on the concave, or the inside part of the curve, are getting elongated. So I'm contracting one side and hopefully elongating the other. So that's one little tool. Remember, as that spine, again with my little example, so I'm standing behind my patient, my client, here's where they're convex, right? So that's the way the spine is curving. We're going to see a rib hump on the right side. So that means that the ribs are rotating too much to the right. So we want to try to work on increasing rotation the opposite direction. The opposite direction. So the way we do that is I like to go on all fours and do what's called a thoracic open up. So if my rib hump is on the right, so I'm already rotating too much this way, I've got to rotate the other way. Okay, so I try to open up the other way. So the way I do it is from all fours. I'll take my left hand here, tuck it down underneath me, and then we just want to open up and try to point your elbow up to the ceiling. Open up, rotate down, open up. So if you're looking at it from the side, right, we're here, we open up, come down. Open up, come down. All right? So that's a thoracic open up. It's a great mobility tool, and we're trying to basically uncorkscrew the patient if possible. Is a simple bird dog, which is an opposite arm leg reach. So I'll have patients get in the 4-point stance here, quadruped position, and reach opposites. So we're going to reach with the left arm and the right leg, just so that you're parallel to the floor. Don't overextend. Just pause here a second. Set it down. Reach. The opposite pair. Set it down. You don't want to go fast because you want to get that little pause. It's also a great way to work on your balance. So again, if you're looking from the side, we would be opposite arm leg reach, and then the other. Great way to start elongating and strengthening the erector spinae group that helps that entire thoracolumbar area. all right? I also like just basic hip bridges. Hip bridges. So again, nothing too fancy, but again, it helps to strengthen the glutes, which are a really important part of stabilizing the pelvis and the lower back. So hip bridges are part of the program, and I think most of you have done these. We're just going to pulse up, squeeze your butt tight at the top, just touch, pulse back up, okay? And again, if you're looking at it from the side, we would pulse up, tap, pulse up, okay? Then two other ones that are a little more difficult, just a little more challenging, are the plank series. Planks are great ways to, again, strengthen that posterior chain, strengthen the abdominal wall, and then we'll also do some side planks. And again, the side planks strengthen the muscles on the sides, really do a nice job of strengthening the muscles on the sides of the spine to help hold that spine straight. So again, if you're not familiar, planks, here, right? Keeping everything nice and tight. The idea is squeeze things tight. Squeeze your butt cheeks tight, your quads squeeze tight, your abs are braced. In the beginning, especially if you're dealing with kids, and I'll show you from the side, plank, right? Boom, here. In the beginning, kids may resist doing that for a very long time. So I like to do the planking by time. I try to work up to 30 seconds. If you have somebody that really struggles holding it for 30 seconds, you can do sets of 10-second holds. So instead of one 30-second hold, do 3 10-second holds with a break in between each. Modified versions would be from the knees. But even if you're doing them from the knees, I try to get people to at least maybe pop up intermittently. It really is a better way to progress and get people to the next level. So if you're here and you're doing them from your knees, right? Pop up occasionally, drop if you have to. Pop up, drop. Now remember, some of these people are going to have muscular imbalances and some weakness patterns. They may find that that's tough to do, so you have to try to progress them along. The other thing I like to do are the side planks. Side planks. And we do side planks right on the forearm here. Okay, let's see if I can get in the frame. And we pop up and hold. Again, in a nice straight plank position. Again, I like to try to hold it for up to a 30-second count. In the beginning, if you can't do 30 seconds, again, you can pulse them. You can drop down, pop up, try to hold maybe 10 seconds, drop down, pop up, hold another 10 seconds. You can do this one modified from the knees, okay? From the knees. Same thing though, if you have to, drop and take a little breather. So from the side planks, boom, here. And modified from the knees, here. And if you have to, you pulse them, right? Pulse them. All right, so here's how I like to break this all up. If you're on the TheraBall, just do all the TheraBall work first. You start out, we'll do the stretch, the 2-minute side stretch. Again, you can break that up into 30-second intervals, 4 30-second intervals, but just a short rest in between because it's not terribly taxing. Then we'll go turn to the other side, right, and do the side bends. I like to do 3 sets of 10. Do 10 reps, take a quick break, go back, do 10 more. Again, it's not terribly taxing, so that one's not too bad. 3 sets of 10 on the side bends. Then I'll kick the ball out, go down on the floor, get on all fours. I like to do a dozen of the thoracic open-ups. Just knock out 12 good thoracic open-ups. Since you're right there in that all fours position, we go right into the alternating bird dog. I like reps of 12 each side. So that means you have to do a total of 24. Remember, in the beginning, if somebody fatigues, don't worry about if they don't make 24. That's the goal. You want to get to that. If you have to modify it and just do your first set is only 12 total, so be it. That's where you start. You got to start somewhere. So you're working up to 24 total reps, so it would be 12 reps of each pairing. From there, you can go into your plank, and in the beginning, 1 30-second plank, 1 30-second right side plank, 1 30-second left side plank. Again, if you have to modify and do them from your knees and pulse them out and make whatever modifications you have to make for the position you're in. If you're really good at doing the planks, what I'll oftentimes do is go 3 times through, no breaks. So just to show you, I set my timer for 30 seconds. Bang, we hit 30 seconds here. When it beeps, we go right to side plank, 30 seconds. Bang. Then we'll go right to, all the way around to left side. And then I'll go one more time, plank here, 30 seconds. I might take a little rest and then do that 2 more times. So there you go. That's a simple program. You don't need a lot of equipment. I think it can help you out a lot. If you're battling a little bit of scoliosis, if you're somebody that has a scoliosis, it's worth working on no matter what age you are. My point earlier was just that if you can catch it early, you have greater success. But even as an adult, it's worth working on it, trying to see if you can correct some of the imbalances and maybe minimize how much that scoliosis is affecting your life. Okay, so try this at home, see what you think, and check back in the future. We'll put up some more tutorials for you. So this is Joel Palmer, Vintage Fitness Studio, Vermont. Check it out. Remember, life is heavy, train for life. See you next time.